Good day, everyone. Today, I'd like to take you on a journey to explore a simple yet profound idea: learning to be alone. At first glance, this might sound isolating or even unsettling, but when we view it through the lens of Buddhist teachings, it transforms into a powerful practice, a path to inner peace, freedom, and self-discovery. So, let's dive in and uncover what it truly means to be alone, not in the sense of loneliness, but as a state of being that nurtures the soul. In our modern world, we're constantly surrounded by noise, whether it's the chatter of social media, the demands of work, or the expectations of those around us. We've become so used to this constant connection that the idea of being alone can feel foreign, even frightening. But in Buddhism, being alone isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about finding a space within yourself where you can be whole, without needing anything or anyone else to define your happiness. The Buddha himself often spoke of this. In the Dhammapada, a collection of his sayings, he praised the joy of solitude, saying, "Happy is the one who lives alone like a rhinoceros, free from all attachments." This isn't about rejecting relationships or community, it's about discovering that true contentment doesn't depend on them. Imagine for a moment the life of the Buddha. Before he became enlightened, he was a prince, surrounded by luxury, family, and every comfort you could dream of. Yet, he left it all behind. He walked into the forest alone, sat beneath trees, and faced his mind in silence. Why? Because he understood that to find the truth, to find peace, he had to strip away the distractions and be with himself fully. That's the first lesson Buddhism offers us about being alone. It's not a punishment, it's a gift. It's a chance to turn inward, to listen to your thoughts, and to see the world as it really is. Now, let's talk about why this matters. In Buddhist philosophy, suffering or dukkha comes from clinging. We cling to people, to approval, to material things, thinking they'll make us happy. But the Buddha taught us that everything is impermanent. Friends come and go, possessions fade, even our emotions shift like the wind. When we don't know how to be alone, we chase these fleeting things to fill a void. We fear the silence because it forces us to face that void. But here's the beauty of learning to be alone: it teaches us to let go. It shows us that we don't need to depend on the outside world to feel complete. Instead, we can find a quiet strength within, a strength that stays with us no matter what changes around us. This brings us to meditation, one of the cornerstones of Buddhist practice. When you sit in meditation, you're alone with your breath, your thoughts, your feelings. There's nowhere to run, no one to lean on. And that's exactly the point. In that stillness, you start to see the patterns of your mind, how it jumps from craving to anger to confusion. The Buddha called this mindfulness, or sati, and it's a key part of the Eightfold Path to liberation. By being alone in this way, you're not just escaping the world, you're training yourself to live in it more wisely. You begin to understand that thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through the sky. They don't define you unless you hold on to them. And when you let them go, what's left is peace. Let's pause for a second and think about that peace. In Buddhism, it's not something you chase after, it's something you uncover. The more you learn to be alone, the more you realize that you've been carrying this peace inside you all along. It's not loud or showy, it's subtle, steady, like the sound of your breath when the room is quiet. And this is where the idea of alone shifts from a physical state to a spiritual one. You can be in a crowd, surrounded by people, and still carry that aloneness in your heart, a sense of being at ease with yourself, no matter where you are. But let's be real, learning to be alone isn't always easy. We're wired to connect, to seek comfort in others. And Buddhism doesn't deny that. The Buddha didn't reject relationships, he had disciples, he taught communities. What he showed us is balance. You can love others, work with others, live with others, but you don't have to lose yourself in them. Being alone teaches you how to be present without being consumed. It's like a tree standing tall in a storm, rooted in its own ground, bending with the wind but never breaking. That's the practice. Over time, you'll find that being alone isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. It's a space where you meet yourself, not as a stranger, but as a friend. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought: in Buddhism, learning to be alone is part of the journey to awakening. It's not the whole path, but it's a vital step. It's about finding freedom not from the world, but within it. The Buddha showed us that when we stop clinging, stop running, and sit with ourselves, we touch something timeless, the stillness that's always there, waiting for us to come home. So, I invite you to try it. Be alone, just for a moment. See what it feels like. You might be surprised by the peace you find. Thank you for listening, and may you all find that quiet strength within yourselves.